All right, guys, welcome to the Full Throttle Podcast. I'm Evan. I'm your host. I'm here with the Dragon Daniel and Patrick Postheisty. We got a couple things to talk about today. Boys, how we doing?
Doing pretty
Been a
good.
good day,
We're feeling good. We feeling good. All right. Of course, you can follow us at Full Throttle Pod on Instagram and YouTube. This podcast is available to stream on Spotify, Apple Music, and of course YouTube as well. So make sure you follow us on all those platforms. Boys, anything to say? Let's get into it.
Let's jump right in.
Let's do it. All right. So Lamborghini just revealed their brand new SC63 World Endurance Championship car. It's a twin-turbo V8 hybrid. It's not going to be run by the Lamborghini Works team, though. It's going to be run by Iron Lynx. They currently run the GT3 Huracan and a GT3 Porsche, I believe. How do we feel about this?
It looks
Honestly, it looks good. Like you mentioned before, it looks like a Lamborghini. As a prototype car, but as a manufacturer, they're just not to the potential level or the hierarchy of Ferrari. Um, what are the other teams that are also with endurance racing? Porsche as well.
Porsche, Toyota, Peugeot, even. I think it looks really good. I think I said this guys to you yesterday, but this to me looks like a Lamborghini. Most of the other hypercars I feel like don't even look like their manufacturer. Like obviously they have the colors and color scheme, whatever, but the Ferrari doesn't look like the Ferrari. The Porsche doesn't look like a Porsche. I mean, the Porsche looks like a Porsche Le Mans car.
Yeah.
But besides that, there's nothing else that screams Porsche. Like the headlights about this, the angles, the color scheme, like that screams Lamborghini to me.
I love the Italian down the
The
middle.
Italian stripes are tough. The Italian stripes are
Mhm.
tough.
Good
They
look.
have to represent,
I mean,
They get no representation out of Ferrari.
no.
Red.
I mean, Ferrari, you get the red.
Red.
Ferrari's red. They own the color red in all of racing and like cars in general. That's Ferrari. That's all they need. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna be able to compete with Ferrari and Porsche or Toyota though.
Are they still using their own motors, like the 12-cylinder that they always put with their manufacturing cars?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's a V8,
Oh,
so
it's a V8.
twin turbo V8 hybrid. For the World Endurance Championship manufacturers, they can make their own engine, and they do their own thing. It's cool to see. It has a rear wing because if you look at the Peugeot, it has no rear wing. I don't know how they made a World Endurance Championship car that has no rear wing on it, but it does it, and it's competitive.
Look, man, for endurance racing, all you got to do is last, 6 to maybe 8 hours straight. And these cars are just, built for high performance, high speed. Um, so all we're really going to see is, a nice body like smooth shaped car. And then at the end, it usually just rakes down to add that, downforce when they're turning left or right on these tracks. But as a endurance racing car, I actually like the way it looks. It looks pretty good.
It looks to me like it could almost be. I could see Lamborghini putting this out on the road. Like Lamborghini does crazy shit all the time. This could
Yeah,
easily
that's
be on the
true.
road.
Yeah.
Mm,
Only a certain amount of people could afford it, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't
it
know.
was a good looking car that was came out at what was it, the Goodwood. Fuck.
Goodwood. All right, let's get into Goodwood. Goodwood's our next kind of topic.
Yes,
So
sir.
Goodwood happened this past Thursday through Sunday. Currently July 19th when you're recording this. So if you're hearing this at a different time, that's what it is. But Goodwood, yeah, there was a whole bunch of cars at Goodwood. I think the first one to talk about is the Hunatron. Hunatron took on Goodwood. Obviously, or maybe not so obviously, it's the last car that Ken Block drove. All-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, depending whatever the driver wants it to be. 671 horsepower, fully electric.
That is crazy. You can almost see, like, I don't know if you guys remember, Group B rally cars, and
Mhm.
they try to mimic the front wing exactly how the Group B, I think it was the Audi R1. I think
Mhm.
that's what it was called. They did an exact representation of it. So I think they hit the spot, especially Ken Block, rest in peace to him, but he actually wanted that exact representation of what Group B should be if it were modern and electric.
Yeah, 100%. This car looks sick. I'm really interested. We'll get into Formula One later, but I'm interested to see if Audi runs this type of livery on a Formula One car. Because Audi, I mean, this is kind of the livery they run in all of their, even like Formula E and stuff like that. So it would be a cool car to see.
For sure.
It would. I mean, I feel like Audi's a team that could come in and have a lot of like play with what colors they want to run.
Yeah, they have a lot of motorsport heritage too. I think they'll be competitive. We'll get into Formula One in a bit, but Hunatron is a good car to see at Goodwood for sure. Let's move over to Hyundai. Hyundai has been one of those brands that I think a couple years ago, if you had said, "Yo, let's go buy a Hyundai," I'd be like, "Hell no!" But Hyundai is making some good cars right now. They're on the come up. They have this really really futuristic look to them, but I'm rocking with it.
The
Yeah,
same
the
thing like Kia. They had that whole rebranding where
Yeah,
they just came out with like new looking cars, and they look good now.
especially with the new N series that they're coming up with, like the baby blue that they add, and then the
that's
little
a
red
sick color.
accents.
That is a
It
sexy
just
color.
it's now modern, and it just looks super dope to see on the streets now. They even sound cool. The Elantra N. I don't know if you've seen videos, but when you add a downpipe to those cars, or even a muffler, it just sounds like a miniature race car.
Dude, Hyundai and Kia are definitely on there. I think over the last probably 5 years, they've probably done the most of any car manufacturers. Like they're like changing their entire game, and I like it. I think it's definitely for the better. Hyundai Ioniq 5N though, fully electric, 8-speed transmission with paddle shifters.
That's different if you ask me. It's a phony paddle shifting type deal, but I think they're running like an electric torque converter on their new or their EV cars. So I don't know how it really works. It's new technology that a lot of people aren't really known about yet, but I'm excited to just see, those little tiny cars on the streets and just like kind of rip it down against like a Tesla or something like that.
Mhm. I would definitely drive it. 641 horsepower when it's in its in mode. Also fully drift mode as well. So the thing can get loose in the rear. I think it's one of the better looking hot hatches out right there. I would definitely drive it. Dan, you're our resident hot hatch boy.
Yeah, I have a Focus ST, and to me, I'm all about the hatchbacks. So, as a fan of the egg-shaped cars, this one is definitely up there as one of my favorites.
Pat, you're laughing. What are we feeling like?
They hatchbacks are dope. As a recent trip to Europe, hatchbacks are in.
Yeah.
Hatchbacks are in. You heard it here first,
Hatchbacks are
Patrick.
in.
Hatchbacks are in. Yeah,
They're coming
dude.
out
I don't
with
know.
a E3 coupe.
The Z3 Coupe is coming back. BMW did announce that thing because remember, Pat, we saw it. We saw
Oh,
it driving down the road one day, and we were like, "What?" It kind of looks like a clown shoe, but I rock with it. That car is sick.
oh my
That one
God.
guy had it slammed to the absolute ground. That thing was. If they bring back the Z3, I might have to get one. That's how sick that car is.
Oh my goodness, we can't talk about clown shoes in here, bro.
Says the guy who's a Ferrari fan, but we'll talk about that later.
Dude, how do you not look dope going down the road in that thing?
What, the Z3?
Yeah.
You have to, especially BMW changed their headlights up. I'm not a fan. They had like those like octagon headlights, like halos. I wasn't a fan of them, but they changed their headlights up this year, and I definitely. I've never been a fan of BMW, but some of the new cars they've been putting out, like redesigned, I definitely like them. The kidney grill is one thing, which is some people hate it, some people love it. I'm kind of down the middle. Some cars I think it looks good on. I think it looks good in the 4 Series. I don't think it looks good in the 3 Series, but I don't know. BMW is definitely one of those brands too. I think. The electric cars too. I would get behind it.
I don't know. I feel like, with the new standards with electric cars, we have the Mustang GT EV and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Anybody could drive that now, but I just feel like there's not enough potential for EV cars yet. We're still on
Yeah,
the rise of, making high horsepower cars. And the only way to do that is if you add an electric motor, twin turbos, or just like, not naturally aspirated motors.
yeah,
But I think it's a good incentive for people to start going towards, zero emissions or zero carbon emissions that are happening now. I think BMW also released in the what is it, Goodwood and zero emissions engine prototype.
Okay.
So, those things are interchangeably, negotiable, as you
Yeah.
say.
I agree. I have a question for you guys. Is this the coolest EV that's out right now?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
What are you putting over it?
The Fisker.
The Fisker? I'm talking like production attainable EV. So let's talk Tesla, Porsche Taycan, Kia EV6 GT. Would you guys take any of those over the Ioniq 5N? I'm saying no. I think the transmission does it for me. That gets me going.
I'm not a huge fan of EV. I've always been a petrol head. I like the feeling of having a manual car and hearing, those four cylinders go off on the behind you. But as an EV, not an EV fanatic, I think the Porsche Taycan is definitely up there. It just looks cool, sleek. There's no differentiation between, the regular Porsches and the EV Porsches. Uh, looks wise, but it's up there.
The Taycan also does notably have a 2-speed transmission. So Hyundai is not the first to do it, but I think I'd much rather take the 8-speed over the 2-speed.
Yeah, I would too.
Pat, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big EV person like Dan, or like as well. I'm not into them, but I don't know. It's really hard to tell. I mean, I feel like they're all probably really similar. I think. I mean, I don't know how this Ioniq 5 is going to drive, or I mean, but if you got like a Taycan, that'd be a pretty awesome car. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I think just the way. I mean, like Tesla really has like all the charging stations and everything. I feel like these new brands that are coming out, these EVs, it might be really difficult for them to integrate.
I agree.
Yeah. That is one thing is with cars, at least with petrol and ICEs, you had some differentiation of horsepower, like your clutch, transmission, all that different things that like gives the car a soul.
Yeah.
There's
Really
not, you're right. There's not much differentiation between a Hyundai 5M with 600 horsepower or like the Audi RS GT e-tron. That, I mean, both go 0 to 60. I think this is 0 to 60 in 3.4, though, and does like 0 to 60 in 3. Those are still quick cars.
That is pretty quick. I'm not gonna
That's
lie.
extremely quick. A 2008 Nissan GT. Sorry, not. Why can't I think of the name? Why am I blinking? What's Nissan's? Oh, GTR. The 2008 Nissan GTR does 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. So the Ioniq 5N is faster than an old GTR.
It's
That's
quicker,
pretty crazy.
not faster.
Quicker. You're right. That's true. But that's still pretty crazy that we've come that far that now a Hyundai is faster, quicker.
I feel like
quicker
these
than the
cars
GTR.
can't top out, at like 150 range. So like the Teslas, you could reach up to 80 miles an hour really quickly, but those electric motors can't handle the extra speed or the continuation of going faster.
Mhm.
So I think that's like a big, hesitant middle ground that would make me deter away from the EV cars. People like to go fast. As a car
Yeah.
fanatic, I like to go fast, and EVs just aren't up to that level yet.
Yeah. I feel like this is one of the first like track focused EVs though, because
Yeah.
N stands for Nürburgring. I don't like the Taycan, RSGT, e-tron, like those aren't track focused cars. I think obviously they're just $120,000, $150,000. Like
Daily.
this is the best, the daily driver. This is the best you can get. Like you can buy 911, or you can buy like an RS7 or RS5, or you can have an e-tron, and they're exactly the same car, by the way. Obviously, Volkswagen Group, same powertrain, same platform, just basically different body kit on them. So
Enough about the EVs, man.
we still have one more EV because Hyundai also had their Ionic 6 in
Look at
at
that.
Goodwood, and it crashed. It crashed pretty spectacularly.
Man, such a letdown. Do you know if the brakes failed or did the driver not anticipate the turn coming up so quickly?
I have no idea, but the hay fucked that car up.
Yeah, it looks
Hey,
damaged AF, man.
the hay got that car badly, man. But
Yeah, you can't even tell if it's a Hyundai or not. Well, you can
no.
because of the baby blue, but other than that, it just looks like a, a car that just didn't have a good time.
Hot take. I think the Hyundai like in blue is one of the best colors out right now.
Absolutely.
I don't think many other like manufacturers are making colors like that. Especially you're talking about a car that okay, obviously you can get a Taycan painted to spec, but that's going to cost you. That's like a $13,000 option. That's going to cost you at least car paint spec. You're talking $125,000, $150,000. These cars highest like spec is $63,000.
Which is actually reasonable for it being a Hyundai, you know?
Again, you're talking 0 to 63.4 seconds, track focused, 8-speed manual, and albeit in an electric vehicle. 63K is not bad at all for what you're getting.
It's pretty good price, probably. I mean, I think that's one thing that the EV companies are definitely gonna have to fight for is pricing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because like
I mean,
Tesla is expensive. I mean, they're all expensive compared to
Yeah.
like a traditional car. But I mean,
yeah,
60 grand for like a track ready car.
it's not
I mean,
bad.
that's just
Mhm.
plenty.
That's not bad. Again, Hyundai and Kia, get your flowers. You guys have been stepping it up.
Yeah, then.
All right, what's next? We have Sebastian Vettel. Vettel is back on track. Unfortunately, not in a modern Formula One car, but in his two historic Formula One cars. Of course, driving his FW14B and his Senna McLaren, Marlboro McLaren. Good to see Seb back out.
Absolutely. I think, he's very inspirational. A lot of people like Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, all those F1 drivers just like kind of look up to him. And he's
Mhm.
always been that, the good guy on the track. Never wants to have any beef with anybody, is just very charismatic. So, you could get a lot of inspiration from this guy.
Do we think that we'll see him back on an F1 track? ever
Absolutely
again?
not.
Absolutely
He's
not.
too busy saving the world, man.
You think he's done completely?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're telling me, right? You're telling me, let's say Aston sacked Lance Stroll. This in a far off universe, Aston sacked Lance Stroll. You're telling me that there's no shot if they offer Vettel a seat and pay him like they paid Alonso, he's coming back.
No.
I don't think so, man. This guy, I don't know if you saw his goodbye video, but he literally just wants to relax. He wants to enjoy all the good times that he did have in racing, and now wants to just relax, spend it with his family. He's literally a tree hugger now. He's just out
Yeah.
there saving the world, helping organizations with donations and all that stuff. So, like I said, inspirational man. Will we see him on the track? Don't think so.
No.
Fair enough. Who has a better comeback, Kimi Räikkönen, or better chance of comeback, Kimi Räikkönen or Sebastian Vettel?
Oof. The Iceman, I don't know. Literally, they should just call him carbon monoxide because he only
You
breathes.
see Kimmy in like an endurance car. I don't think you'd see Vettel in another.
I'm talking Formula One. No, but Vettel still does what is like the race of champions. He did that with Mick. He does that every year. So Vettel's still racing, just not in
Mhm.
Formula One.
Mhm.
But
Which I
those
think
are
is very
still
interesting.
just, donational or foundations that are charitable.
Yeah,
He's
that's also
only
very
does
true.
stuff for charity, pretty
That's very,
much.
very true. That's very, very true. All right. Speaking of another now officially retired driver, Goat Tiffy has retired.
This man.
Goat Tiffy has retired. He went on Instagram. Was that today? No, that
2
was 2
days
days
ago.
ago. 2 days ago. Nicholas Latifi, commonly known as Goat Tiffy, has gone on Instagram, officially announced his temporary retirement, it seems, from all sorts of racing. He said, growing up, I've always been interested in the world of business, and I have always said it's something I would study at university had I not gone into racing. With that in mind, I know I might be taking a break from racing. I have decided that I want to pursue an MBA degree and focus on something that would transform the next phase of my life. This is not necessarily a goodbye to racing. This is not necessarily a goodbye to the racing world forever. Is Latifi done forever?
Yes.
I think so. It's really hard for a man like him, how he ended with F1, to just come back on the ropes and just, get in a car and say, I want to win championships. I'm not going to say he was one of the best drivers, but he was definitely up there, maybe first seat when he was in Williams. But again, we're talking about a man that has only 2 points in his whole F1 career.
Nine. I think yeah.
Has anybody scored worse, or is he actually the worst historic, statistically F1 driver of all
People
time?
definitely had less, but
there's some rookies.
I'm saying
right
like
now.
full time driver for as many seasons as he put in. Well, he only did like 2 seasons, but still, has anybody ever gone 2 seasons and not scored more than 2 points?
No, not that I know.
That's
of,
tough.
Man.
That's really, really tough.
I feel like even
Nick Devries has more points.
Schumacher, who was in Haas with the Russian, ended up scoring, at least, 5 points in one race. I think he made it to like Q3 or Q2 one time, or no, Q2 or Q1 one time during his first F1 career. But I don't know. Latifi will always be Latifi. A lot of people criticize him for everything, but he's like Sebastian Vettel godson.
Maybe he's man of entertainment. He had to put
entertainment.
He had to put it in the wall for us.
He did. He saved some of the boring races. It was like, this race stinks. What is Latifi doing?
He's like, shit. Calls in from Michael, bro. Time to put it in the wall. We gotta spice it up.
Do you guys remember when Latifi it was Hungary? It was Hungary, I think 2 years ago, and it was qualifying, and he went purple in the first 2 sectors.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He was one of the first. Well, he was one of the first people that went out on the track.
He got blocked in the 3rd sector, and
no, I think he just did. He get blocked, or he just cooked his tires?
I think he got blocked. It was so sad. Dude,
he would have made a Q1, man.
Imagine in another universe, Latifi made a pole position in Formula 1.
Here's 2 things to think about. 1, Nick Devries had a single race in a Williams and scored more points in that single race for Williams than Nicholas Latifi did in his entire career. and they were on the same track that day because Albon was out with appendicitis. That's one thing. Second thing, I kind of talked to you guys about this yesterday, but did fans in Latifi's career?
Personally, no. I think he ended his own career with how the 2021 season ended. That big scandal with the FIA.
Bidding into the wall, causing said scandal.
He's not the reason why. Okay, he might have caused a red flag, but you gotta blame the FIA for starting to let those other cars pass, and all the way up until Lewis Hamilton was right behind Max Verstappen.
That's fair. But if you never bend it, it never would happen. See, I was one of the ones. And biggest Lewis fan in the world, but I was one of the ones who immediately thought at the end, I wasn't blaming the FIA. I was like, if Latifi had not bend it, we would have finished under green flag conditions. There's no way in hell Max would have caught Lewis on the same used tires. Lewis is 8-time world champion. There's many other people who thought that same exact thought.
Probably.
Do you think that the toxicity from fans closed the gap that Latifi ever even considered coming back to Formula 1, even as a reserve driver?
I definitely feel F1 drivers take a lot of heat, especially when the fans are not satisfied. But as a professional driver, you got to understand, the media doesn't portray a huge aspect when it comes to your driving performance. So I think it was just a business it was all business where he just didn't perform the way Williams wanted to, and then they just dropped him.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And arguably they replaced him with. I don't know if Logan Sargent's much better than Latifi. We have to see. Logan Sargent's only had 10 races.
The Americano.
Would you rather have Latifi than Logan Sargent? Yes or no? And we'll move on.
Oof.
You're telling us to, shit on an American, the only American F1 driver.
Nothing to do with his nationality. Yes or no question. Would you rather have Latifi or Logan Sargent right now?
No.
I'd probably take Logan Sargent.
You take Logan Sargent. Fair enough.
He puts it in the wall a lot less.
Keeps it in
I'm trying to remember. Maybe Latifi put it in the wall so much I'm just forgetting how much he actually did it.
It was like the dumb times too. Remember he bent it in the hairpin in Monaco?
Oof.
Like
that was a bad one.
Full understeer.
Wasn't it raining though?
Going like 20 miles an hour, yeah.
Wasn't it raining though? Or no, he just
I think it was a little wet, but I mean you crashed in the slowest corner of the season. I mean,
but you have no downforce at that point, so it happens.
Yeah, but
I have been one to bend a cart in the rain more than one occasion, just because you have no grip. You might be ruined at 2 miles an hour, but also he's a Formula 1 driver though, so there's no excuse.
Yeah,
is what it is. Moving on. Somebody else has gotten sacked this year. Only 11 races into his career. Nick Devries is gone. And this Friday, we will see Daniel Ricciardo back on an F1 track.
That is fucking crazy.
I'm so excited. I've always been a Danny Ricc fan. I can't wait for him to just be back on the track. Honey Badger going at it again, fighting for, front row. It's going to be a good time for him. And he always wanted to race in Las Vegas. He was the reason why Las Vegas is on the schedule this year.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. Let's start with DeVries. Where did it all go wrong for him? I mean, I felt like he was one of the most hyped rookies coming into the season. People were like, "Look, DeVries scored points in Williams. They were terrible last year, like back of the field last year. He should be good. He should be able to compete with Yuki, but he got slaughtered by Yuki all season long. He bent it into the wall more than let's not be wrong. AlphaTauri's dog shit. That's a dog shit car. There's no putting it past that. That car stinks.
Yeah.
But besides that, do you guys think it was warranted DeVries getting sacked so early?
I mean, I think so. And that whole battle in Canada, that was not a good look. Sticking your nose in twice and then the first time nearly taking each other out of the race, and then he does it again the next corner and then takes them both out of the race.
Yeah.
It's like
he also took Lando out on the restart in Miami. Remember that?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, just straight into the back of him.
I think he's really just used to smaller cars. FE always had those tiny front wings. Same thing with F2. The cars are just a lot tinier. When he stepped into F1, I don't think he was physically ready to, feel the G-forces and just understand the car itself.
Yeah.
So he lacked a little bit going into F1.
I mean, granted, just with a little bit of grain of salt, that Williams is just good in a straight line. He scored points at Monza.
Yeah.
That's just tempo of speed. He didn't really need much downforce that race. So I think the stars kind of aligned for him that on his first race where he had probably one of the best cars for that track. And that might have boosted his performance. But he did beat Latifi that race, who had been in that car all season. So it's not like he was better than a Formula 1 driver on that day. He's still beating out people on occasion. He's not dead last every single race, or wasn't dead last every single race in Formula 1. I think the crashes can be forgiven for your first year in Formula 1. That happens. Even his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, his first year, bend it so often. Yuki probably might have had some of the most crashes as a rookie in recent memory, but the Vries is 28. He doesn't get that same luxury. So
exactly, the kid came into the F1 career. I think there was kind of a business lawsuit against him because he didn't have the money to come into F1 at first because his sponsors didn't want to pay for his entry. And then because he was losing races, he's not getting the money from these sponsors and enough points for the team to be like, okay, the money that he's bringing in is equaling out to the positions that he's getting or the rankings that he's getting. So as you know, this is also Red Bull we're talking about, the sister brand or the sister manufacturer of Red Bull. They have high expectations for all their drivers, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he just to make the cut. I feel like he was already on the chopping block from the beginning of the season. I think Danny Ricc being out really, really hurt him. I feel like if Danny Ricc had that Williams seat, for example, I don't think we would have seen him sack the show. I don't think they would have put Lawson in for Devries that fast. But Danny Ricc was there. He did well in his tire test. He was doing well in the simulator. And they said, I think they said today that the decision was made before the tire test to get rid of Devries for Ricardo. So it had been in the works for a little bit.
It's sad to see him go, but you know, F1 is a business. Got to make money.
Yeah, that's true. I think he got done a little dirty. The fact that AlphaTauri and Red Bull would even say thank you, Nick, or anything before announcing Danny Ricc was, oh, Danny Ricc is back. We're not going to say a word about DeVries. But I think that just goes to show again, he wasn't Red Bull Academy. He wasn't one of their drivers. So
he
was just out.
10 races to show something.
He had probably less than that because they said the decision was made before even the last race. So more like, I guarantee you the race was probably made back in, or decision was probably made back in
Canada.
Yeah, probably. I said those crashes into Canada probably screw him.
Probably.
Nope. All right, let's move on to Danny Ricc.
Definitely excited for Danny Ricc. You know?
Danny Ricc is back. The Honey Badger is back. Obviously, the last time we saw him, he was in McLaren alongside Lando Norris. Wasn't a good 2 years for him there. Contract got bought out to bring in Oscar Piastri. Do we think that he can perform in this AlphaTauri?
That's what I was going to ask. Do you think he's going to show up this weekend and like be anywhere?
It depends. What I think it's definitely anywhere. I mean, the AlphaTauri has been not a good car all season.
Yeah,
showing up anywhere. Do we think he can put it P15? Probably. I think Hungary is a tough track. I could see 1 or 2 DNFs.
I think he makes Q2, Q3.
I think
I wouldn't say
Q2. Bottom 2 Q2.
Q2. Q2 is expected. If he here's the thing. I don't think there's much pressure on him. If he doesn't make Q2, he gets eliminated in Q1. All right, the hype's kind of okay, but it's his first race. Again, the AlphaTauri stinks. So no one's going to be like, dang, Danny Ricc, you didn't make Q2. You stink. That AlphaTauri stinks, right? And it's your first race back. I also think that if he makes Q3, he looks like a superhero right off the bat. So Yuki Tsunoda's only put it Q3 2 or 3 times this season. But does he beat Yuki? Does he beat Yuki this weekend?
I think so. Danny Ricc is known for those like straight line speeds, those crazy overtakes when he was in Red Bull. I think he's just up there as an elite driver. So we'll definitely see a lot of Danny Ricc overtakes happening over the weekend, and especially him being in qualifying. He'll definitely be up there for sure. If the fans are excited, I think he'll be excited.
He's definitely excited. You can just look at his face and his whole demeanor, and even his interview with F1. He's him compared to when he left McLaren. He was depressed when he left McLaren. I mean, you could just tell it was getting to him. He even admitted he was in his own head for the majority of that season, just wondering why he couldn't get to grips with that car. But I think he's rejuvenated. I think he's glad to be back. I think he definitely has fire under his butt per se, because Checo's in trouble. In my opinion, Checo's in trouble. That what you say?
True. Yeah. No, I'm saying he doesn't have any job security. Especially coming in as a replacement, a mid-season replacement. I mean, Danny Ricc, he's got to do something. He's got to challenge Yuki because DeVries didn't.
Yeah,
is that what the expectations are though? Is that what the expectation? What are the expectations for Danny Ricciardo for the rest of the season? You think?
He's expected to be first seat. That's what his goals are, I feel
Yeah.
like. He wants to be first driver in AlphaTauri and then try to get a contract right at the end, right before the last race, where they start swapping out all the drivers. We start seeing, contracts are up, who's going to go where, who's going to retire, and who gets let go. So he's definitely on edge from at the very, very beginning when he comes back.
Do you think there's a spot for him at a big 3 team though?
No,
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, Pat,
Beginning of
tell me your expectations for Daniel Ricciardo, and I'll pose you another question.
He's probably going to be pretty quiet this season, I think. Probably through the rest, just because the AlphaTauri isn't there. But, maybe we'll see some Q3s. Maybe we'll see some, good performances. Maybe he'll get lucky with a safety car, too. Maybe he'll get high up. But, I mean, in that car, he's not going to be challenging for the front. I mean, he needs to prove himself, beat Yuki, and then he might have some considerations going to another team, a big 3 team.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think the Merc spots are probably pretty locked up unless Lewis Hamilton retires.
That's not going to happen.
That
is an interesting thing to watch because they've been saying that he is supposed to sew up his contract for the last forever. I think it will probably happen over the summer break, but they have been saying he's going to sign his contract forever.
Yeah,
he'll be back. He's not leaving, but
he's been real quiet this season.
So let me ask you guys this: Christian Horner came out and said today that Devries was done for a while, but he also said, more interestingly, that Checo and Max are drivers for 2024. If, and this is just if Checo continues to get eliminated in Q3, let's say another 2 or 3 times this season, and he's just nowhere near Max, do you, and Danny Ricc performs, do you think that Checo could be out of his Red Bull seat for next year? Or do you think it's completely, he's going to be in that seat?
I don't know. Maybe Red Bull doesn't even care that Perez is that far back.
I don't think they care now because, again, if they enter in only one driver this entire season, they would be leading both the constructors and the drivers.
If it was a close battle, they would be absolutely caring. He would definitely be on the chopping block, but I think just him, unfortunately, or him getting unlucky sometimes and qualifying or screwing it up. I mean, that's sort of acceptable, but he kind of comes back on Sunday and he makes a top 10. So he kind of scores some points, kind of makes up for it. But I mean, I don't know. He's probably got a good spot at Red Bull right now. And a lot of that, I don't think they want another Danny Ricc coming in and trying to send it up on the inside on Max and shit.
Yeah, I think Perez just has a lot of heart when it comes to racing. This man went from last place in 2021 and got first place when he was in what was it, Blue Racing Point, BWT. I think that's what the company was called before it changed to what was it, Renault, or it was Renault, and then they changed to BWT, Blue Racing or whatever.
It went straight from Renault to Alpine. BWT is their sponsor. That's the World Water.
The pink car. Let's just call it that.
BWT is sponsor. That's it's better water or something. That's
so Perez definitely has skill, and we could see that. It's just that now that he's in Red Bull, their expectations are way, way off the charts for him to just handle.
Yeah,
and that's where all the pressure comes from him for him.
I think Checo's the most fortunate that Mercedes and Ferrari have dropped the ball the last 2 years. Because if it was a close battle, no shot Checo's in that seat right now. Again, if they only entered in Max in all competitions this year and only entered in one driver, they would still be winning both championships. That's how crazy good Max has been and how much of a non-factor Checo's really been this year. I mean, obviously Checo's won 1 or 2 races this year, which, hey, any driver wins 2 races in the season that's not in a top team. That's crazy good racing. But I don't think there's an excuse for Checo not to be at least 10 seconds clear of the field every race. If Max is 40 seconds plus clear of the field is making pit stops at the end of races to get the fastest lap on the last lap. That's how much he's dominating. Checo's out there battling for P6s and P7s.
I mean, but Checo does have good race pace. I mean, you pan back him and he is like overtaking everyone, but that is just simply the car.
Yeah, you're in the fastest car. How can you not have good race pace at least? At least in DRS zones. I mean, that Red Bull DRS is powerful. So if you're going to be in the back of the field, you have to be within at least 1 second.
I agree.
He needs to be closer. He needs to be closer. Definitely. But I mean, if your boss says you have your job next year, I don't think they're going to take it away from him. Perez will be there next year. After that, we don't know.
But I think if, let's say, Mercedes, I'm a big Mercedes fan, but I don't really see them being competitive until 2026 and the rules change at this point. Unless there's a close battle next year, I think Perez is in there. If there is a close battle, I think Perez is out. I could see them either bringing up Yuki or Danny Ricc next year to battle.
Yeah, it would be nice to see Daniel Ricciardo again in a Red Bull car, like an official Red Bull car, because he definitely dominated when he was part of their team. But once he went into Renault, and then after Renault, it was McLaren. The cars weren't up to his potential, and even Horner said that this man is a fantastic driver. He knows how a car works and how it should be driven. But, when the manufacturers don't meet the driver's potentials as well, there seems to be a miscommunication between the driver and then the team as well.
Mm. I think what you're effectively saying by keeping Checo in this seat is we only care about Max. This is Max's team. And they don't really even care about giving another driver a shot at World Championship. I think you put another solid driver in there, you could have two drivers competing for the World Championship. I think they really only care about handing it to Max. That's that. I don't blame them. Mercedes did the same thing forever. You could have easily, Bottas was decent enough and a great teammate, but he wasn't fighting for championships against Lewis.
Well, that's because they wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story.
Like, hey, you're going to take the back seat this season. You're not going to be fifth.
They wouldn't.
Championship, Lewis Hamilton, so we could give one to Bottas.
They wouldn't let him, but I think even if they did let him, I still think that Lewis is winning the championship over Valtteri.
Yeah, well, he's just not going to care and beat him purely just out of pace.
Yeah. Someone who has been interested in this other Red Bull seat is Lando Norris, though. If we put Lando and Max both in the Red Bull, who's winning the championship?
Man, Kid Wonder. I think so. It's hard to see because they both love racing, and like even in their free time, they'll just go out and just do sim racing on iRacing or R Factor, all those things. So they're definitely dedicated. But again, this is about business and who wants that drive, who wants to be a championship. I think they both have it, but for for Max Verstappen, it's better for him to reach those championship goals.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. All right, last question before we move on from Danny Ricc. Will we see at any point Danny Ricc back in a full-time Red Bull seat, or do you think that door is closed?
I'd say it's very unlikely.
Yeah.
Unlikely. I'm a dreamer. I think we will see him back. I'm not sold on Checo. I think they will replace Checo eventually, but with who is the question. Moving on, let's see what we got. We have British GP reactions. So obviously this has been filmed about 2 weeks later, but it was a good race. I had to watch it on a plane. So the coverage wasn't very good. I had no radios or anything. I was just literally watching the cars go around in circles. But that's okay. Just a quick recap. Max Verstappen won his 80,000th race of the season, followed by Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton. Then Oscar Piastri, George Russell, Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Leclerc, Sainz, Sargent. Sargent was 11th?
Yeah, man. The rookie did pretty good.
Sargent was 11th? That's crazy. All right, Sargent was 11th. Valtteri Bottas, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Zhou Guanyu, Sonoda, Devries, Gasly, Magnussen, Ocon. Gasly, Ocon, and Magnussen all DNF from that race.
Man, that
First
was
thoughts about
rough.
the British GP.
It was a rough race, but I loved how McLaren was on front row, and it was amazing to see Lando Norris finally put the car to the test and actually perform as he should. And even for Oscar Piastri as a rookie, being what second, third row, that is awesome. And like the fans loved it. They loved seeing him when he passed Carlos Sainz. They also loved when well, he had a few mess ups. I think the safety car really screwed up his game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
No.
that race was mostly focused on Lando Norris. But seeing, the papaya cars up in front again, definitely changing the game now.
It's good to see as a Mercedes fan. It hurt a bit because it just seems like we've been working on this car for so long, and we come in, Ferrari's faster than us. We go from basically dominating for 8 years straight. Ferrari's faster than us. Red Bull's significantly faster than us. Aston Martin was faster than us this season. And then all of a sudden, McLaren comes out of nowhere. And even on occasion, Alpine's been faster than us in some races. So not good, not a good look for Merc was my first reaction. It is good to see. I'm a big Lando fan. It was good to see Lando up there. Piastri's had a quiet rookie season. Like low key.
Yeah,
he's pretty fucking good, man.
definitely. I mean, it's great to see that the McLarens lived up to the hype, because remember they came out with a memo and they're like, McLaren's going to be a top team. And everyone was like, I don't know.
Sure, buddy.
Sure, okay, yeah, these upgrades, everybody, because that's a typical thing. Like, especially with Mercedes, they're like, oh, we got upgrades this week. They're like, oh, they're going to be around. It changes nothing. But
Yeah.
It's crazy. They went from the back to the front.
Yeah.
We'll see if it holds up, though.
We'll see. I mean, it's two strong races from Austria. I didn't get to watch Austria, but Austria, watching the replays, was definitely a strong race for them as well. That was kind of the first signs, and then Silverstone I feel like, was their coming out party. That was qualifying. They smashed it. Race, they smashed it. Race, they really smashed, because let's not forget, Pat, I texted you during the race, and I said, I think that for our McLaren just fumbled this for both of them, because remember on the race restart, they put out both Lando and Piastri on hards, on used hards. And they had Verstappen on softs and Lewis was on softs behind. And Leclerc was on softs behind.
Everybody was on softs.
Yeah.
They were the only ones on hards.
So somehow they managed to do a race restart and keep second. Like, they were second and third at the time. They didn't manage to keep fourth, but they managed to keep no. Yeah. They were second and fourth. But they managed to keep that. I feel like almost any other team, you start on hards and everybody else is in soft, you're tumbling down the order, but they didn't do that.
The car lived up to its potential,
Mm-hmm.
100%.
I mean, they said it was going to be like, it gets its tires hot quick, and it fired up those hard tires, and I don't know how it held, but it did.
Is it more something to say about the McLaren being able to hold off a Mercedes on brand new softs, or is that just something that says the state of where Mercedes are at right now?
I mean, that might be a really good sign for McLaren. I mean, like, if they can hold pace like that on hards, I mean, that's hard to beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Nobody likes to run hards on a race, but the British Grand Prix, it's a long track. There's a lot of turns that you're going at least 120 miles an hour. I don't know, kilometers, but
what the fuck is a kilometer?
What the fuck is a kilometer? But they have potential now, especially with two young drivers, and they're still learning. So this is a great outlook for McLaren.
Yeah, and they're still ramping all their facilities. They're not even at full strength yet. They said that their aim was to be a championship contender by 2025. They still have 2 years before what their goal is supposed to be. So, and Pat texted me as well. Lando was holding pace with Verstappen for at least the first 15 or so laps, I believe.
Yeah,
I don't think we've seen that at all over like the first 10 plus races of the season. Typically, Verstappen's gone 2-3 seconds clear by the first lap. Lando was there.
He had the craziest start, man. The craziest start. Ended up pulling away for like a lap or two, and then we saw Max again up in front.
But even after Max passed, Lando was still there, which is crazy to think, because typically Max passes, that's over, he's gone. There was a good 5, 6, 7 laps where we're like, oh, Lando might be able to actually get the spot back. Fortunately, he wasn't able to, but even then, he didn't drop really more than 3 seconds back off of Max for a while.
Those three, they pulled away from the field too. Like in the first couple of laps, it was Max, Lando, and then Piastri was right behind them, and they were pulling away.
Mm-hmm.
They had like a several second gap between fourth place after like just a few laps.
Yep.
I'm actually very disappointed with Ferrari. I don't know why they're decrypting from the standings. It's either the drivers or the car. And I thought, getting a new president or principal for the team would help out, but they're just as confused as they were last year.
I would much rather be a Mercedes fan than a Ferrari fan right now. I'll tell you that. Ferrari, it's last year was the strategy. I don't think the strategy has been nearly as bad this year, although this isn't the race to talk about it because you left Carlos Sainz out on used hards. That's another thing. Ferrari's on used hards and got toasted. Go ahead.
Maybe it's just less obvious. You don't really hear them much on the radio besides they're like plan whatever, plan alphabet, and nobody knows what that means. I think Sainz has just stopped listening to their strategy. Sainz is just like, I'm gonna keep going until these tires go, and then I'm like, hey, which set should I put on? And then whatever happens, then that's it. But it was in Canada. They called Sainz on the radio. They're like, we're gonna go with plan B or plan C. He was like, I don't even know what that is. Like, I don't even remember. Like, it doesn't even matter.
Bro, that's because they have plans A through freaking Z and etc. Bro, Ferrari has that. I guarantee you, Ferrari goes into every single race with at least 15 plans, at least.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense
because you just gotta because everyone's like, oh, this tire is gonna be the best, and then it's the hards or the softs they think, oh, the softs are gonna melt in a second, and then they last. It doesn't no one knows until they really get out there and go.
Yeah, I think you said it. It almost seems like Ferrari is not adaptable throughout the race. They go into the race with a set plan, and they're like, the data says it's the hards. We're going to stick on the hards, even if it's obviously the mediums, and everyone's doing a second lap faster than mediums. I think we're still going to stick on the hards. That's what it almost seems like.
I know they're like too stuck in their ways. Maybe they're just like afraid they're gonna like fuck it up if they try and like go off the script. But
yeah.
They gotta change something because it's been 3 years where they've just completely screwed up just simple strategy.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think
fundamentals. It doesn't matter if you have a fast car. You can't get it out there.
They're not letting their drivers drive, I think.
This is like, I have a couple hot takes right here. One, I think they're going to lose Leclerc. I think Leclerc's gone. Dude, I think his contract's up in 2024. Unless Ferrari have significant improvement, I don't think Leclerc's going to stay. And on top of that, I think right now, Sainz has been the better overall driver for Ferrari.
I think this
over
year,
the time that Sainz and Leclerc have been teammates.
Maybe.
Sainz beat him the first year. The first year Sainz was in that Ferrari, Sainz beat him. Sainz obviously lost to him last year, but Sainz also had a couple of DNFs from mechanical failures and stuff like that last year. And then this year, Sainz is beating Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, I agree. Like I mentioned before, they're not letting the drivers drive to their potential. And the Spaniard just wants to win races. But I don't think he knows that he is not first driver. He wants to be first driver, but the Italians are very strict. They know that Charles Leclerc is driver number one. You can't not let driver number one be in front of driver number two. But
He
it's just
definitely
hard for
knows it.
him.
He
But
definitely
it's
knows it. I
hard
don't
for
think he
him.
gives a fuck. I don't think he gives a fuck. I genuinely don't think Carlos Sainz gives a fuck while he's on that track. Because there's been times where he's like, they're like, let Leclerc pass, or we're gonna do this. And he's like, nope, that ain't happening. And I don't blame him. Again, he's beating he beat Charles Leclerc. They've been together 3 seasons. This is the 3rd season. First season he beat him straight up. Second season he lost to him, whatever, 1-1. And this season he's beating him straight up. I completely agree with Carlos Sainz. Why are you going to let Charles Leclerc have the prioritized strategy over me if I've been beating him?
Yeah,
Or at least we're on equal footing.
Leclerc is like one of the most hyped drivers on the grid. I mean, everybody thought he was going to win in 2021. They were like, oh, after the first couple races, like, no way, like Ferrari might have a championship, and it's going to be Charles Leclerc who's going to bring it home. And then after those 3 weeks, last 2 years, where's he been? I mean, nothing like poles here and there, and then just gets overtake 3 laps in. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, Ferrari's just really just falling out.
Yeah.
Is that him or is that Ferrari, though? So I'm one of the last people to start blaming drivers. I don't think the Ferrari is a very good car throughout a race.
I agree. The Ferrari this year is just not living up to its potential compared to when Sebastian Vettel was on the team. But then again, Ferrari was known for their scandalous moves.
I think Ferrari just has really bad race pace this year. I mean,
they cook their tires.
Fine.
They cook their tires like it's fried chicken, bro. They just throw them in a frying pan and just saute that shit up, bro. There ain't nothing left of those tires after a couple laps.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they do really well in qualifying. I mean, they get moving and they're like, oh, they're going to be there on Sunday. And then they just can't keep up, or their tires suck. And then they put the wrong tires on. And then it's just a mess.
It's an absolute mess. All right, let's move on. Last couple things about the British GP, and we'll go to Hungary, and we'll get out here. But let's just do some driver ratings. I'm gonna go through the standings from last to first. Just quick, 1 through 10. How would you rate the driver's performance? All right, so starting with Esteban Ocon, DNF from Silverstone, 1 through 10.
5. We'll cut it right in the middle.
DNF from Silverstone. I'm probably around where Dan is.
I'm giving him a 3. I don't think he's been very impressive this season. He's been okay. I don't know if he hasn't been very impressive this season or Alpine as a whole. Alpine was 4th in the drivers. 4th? Yeah, they were 4th last year. Slaughtered McLaren.
Yeah.
This year they're absolutely nowhere, but I don't know. He's been okay, and I'll give him that. I think he's one of the most underrated drivers on the grid, but he's been okay this season. He hasn't been great. He hasn't been slaughtering Gasly like he should be if he was supposed to be the number 1 driver.
True.
All right, Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen, he had that engine failure that brought out the first safety car, I believe. I'm giving him. He was up there. He had a fine qualifying. Give him a 6. Again, he didn't finish the race. I can't really get much higher than that, in my opinion.
Another 5 for me, sir.
Kevin Magnussen. Oof. I'm going to have to say a 3. Nice 3. Kevin Magnussen is... I mean, look at his teammate. His teammate has been, damn near in first place. And he's been just nowhere. I mean, I don't know. I mean, just bad performances.
I would say Haas has been. I would say his team has been slaughtering him. I think Nico Hulkenberg's been on the better end of the stick more often this year. But that Haas just seems like really unpredictable. Some weekends it's really, really good. Some weekends really, really bad. It's great in qualifying. It sucks in the race. It's great in the race. It sucks in qualifying. Like, it's just, I don't really know if they understand that car very well, and that might be because the car is like 80% Ferrari as well.
That's true.
So there's only so much they can do with that. Moving on, Pierre Gasly DNF'd after being hit by Lance Stroll into the final chicane.
Man, those two were going at it that race.
Yeah, but Lance Stroll like literally drove off the track and then drove back onto the track and just completely took out Pierre Gasly and continued on his way.
Yeah. It was reckless out of Lance Stroll, but what do you expect? Typical Lance.
Yeah, I'm giving Gasly an 8. He was up there.
6. I'll give him a 6.
Hear me out. Gasly was right behind Lewis the entire race. Right behind Lewis the entire race. Lewis finished 3rd. Gasly was up in 4th and 5th. He was battling with Lewis and Piastri the entire race, like within like a second of them the entire race. Well, no, he dropped back behind Alonso at one point, but still he was up there. I thought he had a solid race. It's a shame that Lance Stroll hit him, but I'm giving him a 7.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty fair.
7.
7.
Nick Devries.
Ooh.
Finished last out of all of the drivers who did finish. 2.
Bad race your career on.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin. Finished 33 seconds off the lead.
At least
give him a 2. Didn't have a good qualifying. Didn't have a good race. Basically wasn't covered at all. Didn't bid it. So that's why I didn't give him a 1, but I give him a 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him like a 2 or a 3. That kid he's just not living it up.
Maybe
I like Nick DeVries too. I just he didn't have a good race.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Nice roll around Silverstone and then pop out. Danny Ricc's in.
Danny Ricc is in. Anyway, Nick DeVries only finished 2 seconds off his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, P16. 5.
It's so hard to rate the bottom 10 drivers.
It is hard to rate the bottom because a lot of stuff happens.
Yeah, especially during the race. But I don't know.
Chaos that goes back on there that we just don't see.
Yeah.
They're just not battling as hard as, the top 7 or top 8. But for me, I'm going to give the kid like a 6.
A 6 for P16.
Man.
He's second to last on the grid of the drivers who finished. Second to last.
We're talking
giving
about
him a 6.
Yuki Tsunoda, okay? He has potential.
Logan Sargent beat him by 5 positions. And we're giving him a 6.
The Americano.
All right, it's your. I'm just saying 6 for. Go for it.
Yeah, I like the Japanese kid.
Pat, what are you feeling?
3. Go next.
Zhou Guang Yu, Alfa Romeo, obviously 29 seconds off the lead, P15.
Car crash.
All right, all right, quick question. Just don't have to have an explanation behind it. What would you rather be in, the Williams, the Alfa Romeo, or the AlphaTauri?
Probably the Williams. Easy Williams.
You got a Ferrari motor in Alfa Romeo
in the last 16 years.
Let's not forget that Ferrari motor blew up twice in Silverstone. It blew up during practice, or was it qualifying for Valtteri Bottas? It blew up during qualifying for Valtteri Bottas, and then it blew up during the race for Kevin Magnussen. Just putting that out there. But yeah, that car is trash. I give Zhou Guang Yu, give him a 4. He got beat by his teammate pretty handily, is what it is.
Give him a 4 as well.
All right. Lance Stroll, P14.
Maybe a 2 for that whole.
Yeah, he was a bully on the track, man. I give 3.
He was really bad. I'll give him a 2. Nico Hulkenberg, P13, beat his teammate, or his teammate DNF'd, but I don't know, 4. He didn't really do much.
Another 4.
Valtteri Bottas, P12. Beat his teammate. Will we give his teammate like a 3 or a 4? I'll give Valtteri a 6. That car sucks. P12 is not bad for an Alfa Romeo.
I always like the man. He has some charismatic attributes, especially with his butt cheeks. So For each butt cheek, I'll give each butt cheek a 3.
Totally fits. All right. Well, at least we could say the mullet hasn't been doing anything for his race pace. So
Oh God! But did you give him something?
ooh, a 5. I don't know.
5.
I
Fair
didn't
enough.
even see him on the TV. So
Here we go. We're getting close to top 10. Logan Sargent, P11, 8.
I give him a 7. The Americano is living up to his dreams right now, trying to get points. So
I was surprised he finished P11. That's a sneaky finish for him. Almost in the points.
just one away. And he would have got his
Just
first
one
point.
close one away. Oh, he finished 4 seconds off that, but it's okay.
all Stroll had to do was hit Gasly a little harder, and we would have had a Logan Sargent point.
Would have had Logan Sargent points. You're right.
That would have 1 point for USA.
Pat, what are we getting, Logie Sarge?
I mean, he didn't get any points, so I think 8, 9, and 10 are out of the question. So I think 7 is very fair.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Carlos Sainz, P10, dropped back after Ferrari screwed him on giving him the hard tire at the end of the race. He was beating Leclerc. I don't know. I thought he had a good race. He was pretty exciting to watch during the race. I'll give him a 7. It's not his fault Ferrari did that to him. It's not his fault Ferrari did that to him. Ferrari screwed him.
Yes.
Ferrari screwed. No, matter of fact, he was like he could have scored like a podium potentially. Ferrari screwed him badly. I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, but during that race, the commentators were like, why is he so far back? He was getting passed by some of the rookies. I don't know. I would give him like a 6 at least.
Pat?
Yeah, I'd say 6.
Fair enough. Charles Leclerc, P9. I don't know, man. Leclerc, he's been kind of dog doo-doo, but
another 6.
6. I think I gave Carlos Sainz a 7. Leclerc gets a 6 because I think Carlos Sainz had a better race than Leclerc. Leclerc just got lucky at the end by being on softs.
Yeah.
True.
Alex Albon, P8 in the Williams, 10.
Very
10.
bold.
10. 100% 10, bro. He beat 2 Ferraris in a Williams, 10.
Driver of the day? Who got driver of the day?
No, I think Lando got
Lando.
I think it was Lando, Piastri, and then Albon Lewis, and then Albon. But P8 in a Williams, that's crazy. 10. It's only 3 positions off the top 5 in a Williams. 3 positions off the top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot.
I don't think it's worthy of a 10. I feel like an 8.
I feel like an 8 as well.
Alex Albon here. I mean, Alex Albon should be in the top 10. I mean, he's had plenty of opportunities, a lot of teams. He should be competitive, even in Williams.
The Williams is sneaky good. Is Williams a back marker team or is it a midfield team now? I'm going with midfield.
I think if they got their midfield status now.
I think Williams has officially been promoted to midfield. Dan, how do we feel?
Yeah, same. And I feel bad for Haas, even though they been through so much shit throughout the years. But we're starting to see the old Williams come back again.
Yeah, I agree. Fernando Alonso, P7. That Aston Martin was kind of nowhere that entire race. I think it was one of his worst races of the season. 5.
Yeah.
You can't do the Spaniard like that. I still give him a 7.
He didn't do much the entire race. What was he doing? He just sat back there behind Lewis the entire race and did nothing.
Bro, that's all part of the plan.
Yeah, L plan. Get shit on in Silverstone, L plan.
But yeah, I give him a 7.
Pat?
Say 4.
4. That's fair.
Is that what you get? Brutal. You guys
get Fernando Alonso a 7? Did I just hear that right?
On Sunday.
A 7 for P7? Oh, come on, dude. That's ridiculous.
I mean, he's in a competitive car. He just didn't.
No, I'm talking Dan. Dan gave him a P7.
Of course I am. He's my Spanish brother.
My God. Sergio Perez, P6.
Oof. I'll give him another 7. It's
a
a Red Bull.
6.
It's a Red Bull.
It's a Red Bull, and you're giving him a 7 for P6?
Dude, we're talking
Where did he
about.
qualify at again? Wasn't he way back?
Who?
Perez. Where did he qualify at?
Like P15 or something like that. He got eliminated in Q1.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Silverstone's a hard track to like just DRS the field up on. There's not a lot of long straights, so.
But there's just high speed corners. Like he should be. I don't, again, he should be beating everybody by 10 seconds besides Max. But
Yeah,
sure, 7 it is. Pat, what do you got?
I said 6 for P6.
I think you guys are high, but I think you guys are high and high. But whatever. George Russell P5. Georgie got screwed by the safety car a bit.
Yeah, poor kid.
Give him an 8.
7. He was doing pretty good though. He had a good pace.
He looked quick out there.
Mm-hmm.
He looked good. I'll give him a 7. I think if he cracked, I think if he got P3, I would have given him an 8. But I'll give him P7. I'll give him a 7 for that.
True. I'll give him an 8. Mm-hmm.
All right. Oscar Piastri, P4 in the McLaren, 9.
9. I agree. Yeah, 9.
Consensus 9. I think just great performance.
Great drive.
He looked like a 10-year vet out there as a rookie. So
yeah,
easy 9 for me. Lewis Hamilton.
0.
Sorry, you want to say something about Piastri?
His quality lap was great, and his race pace looked great.
Yeah. No. Piastri, well deserved 9. You get a round of applause for that. Lewis Hamilton P3. I almost couldn't say it.
Rob Piastri of a podium.
And more importantly, could not beat out Lando Norris on new softs for P2.
Yeah,
I'll give Lewis a 7. I think I gave George 7. I'll give Lewis a 7.
I think
if he got P2, it would be an 8 or a 9.
He's gonna blame the car. He kept saying on the radio, the car is shit. Last race. I don't think he said anything this race because obviously he did really well. But, he needs to start getting his shit together and just race. Just drive the car.
What is he supposed to do? That car stinks. That car stinks. I mean, if we're saying it stinks, it got P3, but that's not what we expect out of Mercedes. But again,
it's not what you expect out of a Mercedes.
To me, if he had gotten a convincing P2, 9. If he had gotten P2 at all, 8. P3 for me is a 7. I just expect more of him.
On the same boat. I'll give him a 7.
7. Pat?
I'll give him the 8. He got the podium. He pulled it out. He did his job.
P2, Lando Norris, 10.
10.
Pat?
10.
Took
on that grid.
Took the lead of the race off the start. Gave Max a handful for a couple laps.
Dude
looked comfortable in P2 the entire rest of the race. Didn't really look like it was threatened at all. I think that to me is Lando Norris's best driver of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like Daniel Ricciardo when he was in McLaren in Monza when he came out of nowhere and just pulled P1 out of his ass. So like seeing Lando Norris, up there is really, really satisfying. So it's a 10 for me.
Let's not forget Daniel Ricciardo only won that race because Max and Lewis took each other out. But
yeah,
okay.
Usually how it works.
Max Verstappen, of course, P1 won by a little under 4 seconds. 9. I think if he had led start to finish, he would have gotten a 10. But the fact that Lando gave him some trouble for the first couple laps, I'll give him. A 9.
Yeah, I'll give him a 9 as well. He is Max Verstappen. There's no doubt about it. You see this man getting maximum amount of points every race and even trying hard to just, get fastest lap. But I still give him a 9. It's starting to get a little boring because he's the only one winning. But what else can you do? He's in a Red Bull.
Yeah, I mean Lewis did the same thing for 8 years or so. So what are you gonna do? All right, let's just wrap it up. Nothing too long. Quick, hungry predictions. Just give me
just top 5.
One or top 5 or two hot takes.
2 hot takes. That's it.
All right, 2 hot takes. Hot take number 1.
The front, baby. Let's see it.
What you say?
I want McLaren to beat the front. I want
like front, like win, or front like they're going to score a podium again.
I think I want them on the podium.
That's a bold statement from
I think they
McLaren.
can do it. I think they can do it.
Dan, what's your first hot take?
Hot take: Danny Ricc shows up and tells everybody to fuck off by becoming front row. Just front row, either one or two, but definitely going to see some potential honey badgerism happening.
So you're gonna. That's an extremely hot take. You said he's gonna show up. I'm like, yeah, Danny Ricc might show up front row.
I think so, man.
Hey,
Like I said, it's just a hot take.
Teams have been popping up and down the grid all year. That could happen. My hot take: Fernando Alonso win.
Ooh.
That would be awesome.
I think Fernando has done well around this track in the past. I think this track suits them really well. There's a lot of low speed corners, which the Aston Martin's really, really good at. It's really hard to overtake on this track, as we know. I think Fernando Alonso, if some strategy comes into play, maybe a bit of rain or something, I think Alonso can win.
Agreed.
Maybe. Max is hard to beat.
Max is hard to beat.
The kid's just good on everything.
Yeah. Second hot take. I think this is the race. I'm going to keep saying this every single race that happens. Red Bull will not win this race.
Oof.
I don't know if Max is going to DNF. Valtteri might play pool again with all the cars and take him out. It might not be Fernando, but I do not think Red Bull can't win every race of the season. I think this is the race. I'm going to keep saying it until it happens. But
yeah, that's a pretty hot take, even though they have their upgrade. And they mentioned that the upgrade is supposed to be two tenths. We're talking about tenths. That's a lot of time faster.
I saw a tweet today, and it said, "What would Toto Wolff do if Red Bull pulls up with their upgrades and 0 side pods?"
That would be so funny.
I think he would actually burn down the entire Mercedes garage. He would be pissed.
Yeah.
He would be absolutely pissed.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a troll, even if it wasn't the actual upgrade, if they just trolled Mercedes like that would be so funny.
Oh man, that'd be so funny.
Man.
All right. Dan, what's your second hot take, or did you already say it?
Second hot take, I think Haas might end up in Q3. I would really like to see Kevin Magnussen up there. I think he's done well in this track in the past, but again, we're talking about a Haas, which has a Ferrari engine. Come on now, it's in the background.
Because that matters. That's the engine to have on the F1 grid right now. Yep, the ticking time bomb in the back of your car. That's what I want behind me. But hot take it is. Pat, wrap us up.
Man, I don't know. I don't think I got anything else. I want to see McLaren up front. I hope they do well. Red Bull's going to be hard to beat. Ferrari's probably not going to be there. Maybe we might see Lewis or George catch a front row. Maybe Alonso, but Aston Martin's not looking real good anymore. So it might just be a 2-horse race between Red Bull and McLaren now.
Hey, let's not forget George Russell got pole at this track last year.
That's true.
Can you hear my Alexa talk?
That is true.
All right. I think that's it.
Well, I'm sorry, my Alexa might have ruined the podcast at the very end because she's just talking about some whatever. But that's it, guys. Thank you for watching or listening or both, whether you're watching YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. Thank you so much. Hopefully we're going to be doing this more. Thank you, Pat and Dan, for your time, taking the day out. And we will see you guys this weekend. Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend. Don't forget, like and follow at Full Throttle Pod. Yep, like and follow at Full Throttle Pod on Instagram and YouTube. And you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube again. So yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.